As our energy requirements continue to increase, while at the same time there's a global effort to reduce the volume of fossil fuels that we consume, there are few technologies that are able to reliably produce the energy that we need. Nuclear power is one of the most effective and efficient ways of producing energy, and the latest designs are far safer than those of previous generations. Today we'll be taking a look at 15 of the most advanced nuclear power facilities in the world. Number 15. Kashiwazaki-Kariwa Nuclear Power Plant, Japan. Built on a 1,000-acre or 4.2 square kilometer site in the Niigata Prefecture of Japan, the Kashiwazaki-Kariwa Nuclear Power Plant has the potential to generate the most power of any nuclear facility on Earth. It first opened in 1985, and after several upgrades has 7 reactors, one of which is the world's first advanced boiling water reactor. In total, the plant has a rated output of 8,200 megawatts, but things haven't exactly been plain sailing since the 7th reactor was completed in 1997. One of the features of the design meant that it was built on the coastline of the Sea of Japan, which is where it takes its cooling water. And despite being specifically built to be able to withstand unexpected events, it was just 12 miles from the epicenter of an earthquake in 2007. This forced the reactors to be shut down for emergency maintenance, and only 4 were operating during the earthquake of 2011 that caused the Fukushima meltdown. As a precaution, they were shut down again for extensive upgrades, and the 7 reactors are now some of the most advanced in any power plant, although the operators are still awaiting permission from the regulators to actually switch them back on and begin generating electricity again. Number 14. The Sanmen Power Plant, China. China is progressing with the construction of at least 50 nuclear power plants right now and is heavily invested in the technology to satisfy energy demands in the coming decades. While it doesn't produce the most energy of all the facilities in the country, the Sanmen Power Plant in Sanmen County is the one that the eyes of the world are trained on, because the 2 reactors there are the first time the newly developed AP-1000 pressurized water reactor has been used. The plant was completed in 2018 at an estimated cost of $50 billion, and it has, in theory, a maximum capacity of 2,300 megawatts. Construction has been delayed a number of years because of continuous design upgrades, and it took over a year in each reactor to perform the necessary pre-fueling safety procedures. Finally, in August of 2018, both reactors were running well, and they had been connected to the grid by the end of that month. The success of these 2 reactors and the lessons engineers learned in their construction are now seen as a blueprint for future energy production across the country, and the authorities are hoping they'll be able to replicate the designs much quicker and have them up and running far faster than the 10 years it took to bring Sanmen online, a time frame that was already surprisingly quick in comparison to projects elsewhere. Number 13. Bruce Nuclear Generating Station, Canada. Located on 2,300 acres of land on the eastern shore of Lake Huron in Ontario, Canada, the Bruce Nuclear Generating Station is the 2nd largest nuclear power station on the planet. With a nameplate capacity of 6,430 megawatts, it's made up of 8 pressurized heavy water reactors, each of which generates between 786 and 891 megawatts. It was originally built in 2 stages between 1970 and 1987, and while you may expect it to have aging technology, the station has been undergoing a series of upgrades and refits with controlled shutdowns since 1995, which means the reactors are as advanced as any other ones of their type. Providing 4,000 jobs, the station is the largest employer in Bruce County and has been vital to the local economy. But the potential risks and dangers aren't lost on the authorities. To be sure there's no contamination, milk samples from nearby farms are tested on a weekly basis, and drinking water and groundwater is tested twice daily. On the site, there's 35 miles of dedicated roads, a fire department, and a medical center. And following the 9/11 attacks, the site also has a significant security force, with all members armed and given access to high-speed response cars and watercraft. And they're so well trained that they won the U.S. National SWAT Championship event 4 years in a row. Number 12. Barakah, United Arab Emirates. One of the newest nuclear power facilities to have come online is Barakah, which is in the Gharbiya region of Abu Dhabi and was the first commercial nuclear power station on the Arabian Peninsula. Consisting of 4 APR-1400 reactors, 2 of which are fully functioning and 2 of which are due to be completed very soon, it will, when finished, have a nameplate capacity of 5,380 megawatts. The intention is that the power plant will be able to provide as much as a quarter of the energy demands of the United Arab Emirates, which will go a significant way towards reducing their energy reliance on burning carbon-based fuels. Estimated to have cost around $25 billion, Barakah was completed remarkably quickly, with the construction beginning in 2012 and the first reactor providing energy to the grid by 2020. All 4 reactors are the latest design of pressurized water reactors from the Korea Electric Power Corporation and are designed to remain in continuous operation for up to 80 years. As it's not yet providing its full capacity to the grid, the success of Barakah is yet to be shown. But if it provides a stable supply, as is expected, there's a good chance that not only will the UAE commission an expansion, but the other countries in the region will want to build similar facilities of their own too. Number 11. Olkiluoto 3, Finland. First entering operation in 1979, the Olkiluoto nuclear power plant is one of 2 such facilities in Finland, but easily it's the largest. It's on Olkiluoto Island on the shore of the Gulf of Bothnia, and to begin with it has 2 boiling water reactors that has a combined output of 1,780 megawatts, which represented 22% of all the energy produced in the country in 2020. While those 2 reactors are now regarded as old and inefficient designs, the owners of the plant were granted permission to build a brand new reactor in 2005, and they chose a completely different design that's called a European pressurized reactor. It's a 3rd-generation design that was developed by the French company EDF, and despite being planned to be operational by 2009, it was only turned on for the first time in late 2021. So far, all the signs are good, and it's expected that the energy produced by the 3rd reactor will be connected to the national grid by mid-2022. Once this happens, the company is then planning to build a 4th reactor, which will again be an EPR. But even in the past decade, further advances in their design have happened, and this will ensure Olkiluoto is at the forefront of nuclear energy production. Number 10. Yangjiang Nuclear Power Plant, China. With 6 CPR-1000 pressurized water reactors, each of which produces up to 1,000 megawatts, the Yangjiang nuclear power plant is currently the largest facility of its type in the whole of China. The site where it was built in the country's Guangdong province was chosen for a nuclear power plant in 1988, and after 16 years of preparation, the project was green-lit in 2004. Originally, the plan was for the plant to have 3rd-generation reactors, but by the time a final decision has been made, these were too costly and unproven, which is why the choice was made to install the Generation 2 Plus CPR-1000 reactors instead. They had, however, undergone a number of upgrades in their design, and this made them the most advanced ones using that technology that had ever been built at the time. Furthermore, the 5th reactor became the first to use a Chinese-designed digital control system, and following the Fukushima disaster, the country invested heavily into ensuring the safety of newly built reactors. Construction on the plant finally began in 2008, and the first reactors were connected to the grid in 2014, with the 6th coming online in 2019. While the construction time was quite quick, Yangjiang has been more than 20 years in the making at a cost of $10.2 billion, and it shows why it's so important to understand domestic power consumption and plan well in advance if a nation hopes to use nuclear power to be a part of their strategy. Number 9. Beloyarsk Power Station, Russia. The Beloyarsk Power Station, near the town of Zarechny in the Sverdlovsk Oblast of Russia. It was the 3rd nuclear facility built by the Soviet Union and was operational by 1964. At first, featuring 2 supercritical water reactors, which required a combined 117 tons of uranium. A 3rd was added in 1980, a 4th in 2014, and a 5th is planned to be online by 2030. While they're not the most advanced reactors in the world, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ones are of particular interest to the international scientific community because of the way they work. Currently, researchers around the world are developing a new breed of reactors known as the 4th generation, and one of the proposals for these use technology called sodium-cooled fast neutron reactors. And the 2 operating at Beloyarsk are the only ones in commercial operation anywhere. While they themselves don't classify as 4th generation, the lessons learned from their construction and use are instrumental in progressing the technology. So much so that Japan is believed to have paid $1 billion for the technical documentation of the BN600 reactor, which is the one that began in operation in 1980. Number 8. Shin Kori Nuclear Power Plant, South Korea. In the small village of Kori, which itself is on the outskirts of South Korea's second-largest city, Busan, is the Kori nuclear power plant, which is currently the largest operational nuclear power station in terms of output in the world. The first reactor on the site began producing electricity in 1978, with a further 3 that came online in the 1980s, but a further expansion began in 2006 that saw another 4 reactors added to the facility by 2019 that brought the total to 8. With a total nameplate capacity of 7,489 megawatts, although never actually reaching that figure, it's the new 4 reactors that represent some of the latest designs and advances in technology. The first 2 were Generation 2 OPR-1000 reactors, while the second set of 2 were Generation 3 APR-1400 reactors. Another 2 APR-1400s are also under construction at the site and expected to be operational by the late 2020s. One of the biggest differences between these and earlier designs are the inbuilt safety precautions that make them far easier to shut down and contain if an emergency arises. But they're also far more efficient and require less fuel to produce more power. The new reactors can, for example, produce more than double the power that was generated by the first one built at Kori, and that's why Kori 1 has now been closed for good, with the process of fully decommissioning it beginning in early 2022. Number 7. Hongyanhe Nuclear Power Plant, China. Located in the town of Donggang, which is in the Liaoning province of China, the Hongyanhe Nuclear Power Plant is a newly built facility that, with its 4th-generation 2+ CPR-1000 reactors and 1 advanced ACPR-1000 reactor, has a nameplate capacity of 5,305 megawatts, with plans already underway to add to this. It's 65 miles to the north of Dalian City, a place which has expanded so much in recent decades that power consumption was becoming a real problem. Authorities realized the only way to get a hold of the situation was to build a nuclear facility that was dedicated to providing power to the city. And after choosing a suitable location, the work began in 2007, and the first 2 reactors were connected to the grid within just 6 years. The rush for power is why the choice was made to install Generation 2 reactors, and it's only the new ones that are currently being built there that incorporate extra safety features like a core catcher and double containment. The long-term plan, though, is that once the plant starts producing more energy than is needed, the earlier reactors can be shut down and upgraded, which will result in one of the most advanced nuclear facilities in the country. Authorities point out that there's no inherent risk in taking this approach, especially as the plant is positioned in a place that has no history of earthquakes or extreme weather, and the likelihood of issues with the reactor within the first 10 years of its operational life are incredibly remote. Number 6. Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, Ukraine. Ukraine is, of course, the country where the world's worst nuclear power station disaster took place. But with the reliance on nuclear power by the Soviet Union, Chernobyl wasn't the only facility that was built there. In the city of Enerhodar, which is in the southeast of the country, and on the coastline of the Kakhovka Reservoir, is the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, which is currently the largest nuclear station in all of Europe. Construction on the facility began in 1980, which was 8 years after work on Chernobyl began, and in that time technology had advanced a huge amount and meant that Zaporizhzhia was fitted with an entirely different design of reactor. It has 6 water-water energetic reactors, which have a combined output of up to 5,700 megawatts, and they were all completed by 1995. This plant alone produces almost half of Ukraine's energy that's derived from nuclear power, and is so important to the country's needs that a program of upgrades has been underway for more than a decade. So far, this has seen Units 3 and 5 shut down to modernize, which not only extends their operational life, but adds extra safety features and efficiencies, and means they're some of the most advanced pressurized light water reactors used in any power station. Number 5. Gravelines Nuclear Power Plant, France. France is one of the world leaders in terms of developing nuclear power technology, and of all the facilities in the country, the Gravelines Nuclear Power Plant, which is in the commune of Gravelines in the northwest of the country, is the largest. It's actually the biggest nuclear power plant in Western Europe, with 6 pressurized water reactors that produce a combined total output of 5,460 megawatts, which is 5.9% of all energy produced in France. With the reactors coming online in the 1980s, the 5th and 6th were originally intended to be exported to Iran, but after the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the decision was made to install them at Gravelines instead. The designs were seen as so safe and reliable at the time that they formed the basis of the CPR-1000s designed by China, and the technology is still replicated in much newer designs to this day. One of the revolutionary aspects of the plant at Gravelines, though, is how they use the cooling water that carries the heat away from the reactors. It is, of course, fully monitored to ensure it hasn't been contaminated, but is then channeled through an aquaculture facility where farmers breed European sea bass and gilt-head breams, which apparently grow significantly faster in that environment. Number 4. Akademik Lomonosov, Russia. When you think of a nuclear power plant, you'd likely imagine a huge, sprawling facility that houses thousands of tons of sturdy concrete and superstructures to contain the radioactive material. The last thing you'd expect is for one to be portable, but as technology advances, this is something that's becoming achievable. There's already a mobile nuclear power station that's in operation. Known as the Akademik Lomonosov, it's a self-propelled barge that was built in Russia between 2007 and 2010, and it's currently moored in the Arctic port town of Pevek, where it provides heat and electricity. This makes it the northernmost nuclear facility in the world, and it's turned the fortunes of the town around. Built at an estimated cost of $700 million, the vessel is 470 feet long, 98 feet wide, and 33 feet tall. With a crew of 69 people, the barge has 2 modified KLT-40S nuclear reactors that can produce up to 70 megawatts of electricity. These reactors are, of course, significantly smaller than those in large power stations and are much more like the ones used on nuclear submarines and warships. But it's an ingenious way to use the technology to benefit communities where a full power station isn't feasible. With other companies also exploring the idea of portable reactors, this could well be a glimpse of the future of nuclear power. Number 3. Hanul Nuclear Power Plant, South Korea. Originally known as the Uljin Power Plant, but recently renamed the Hanul Nuclear Power Plant, the second largest nuclear facility in South Korea has just completed 2 new third-generation reactors that are some of the most advanced on the planet. The first went online in 1988, and the 6 OPR-1000 reactors were all completed by 2005. But it's the new 4 that are being built there that are of the most interest. They are APR-1400 reactors, which are also known as Korean next-generation reactors, and each one has an expected power output of 1,340 megawatts. Expected to cost about $6 billion each, they use South Korean-designed components in all of their critical systems, which allows them to fully control every aspect of operation. The first of these new reactors is expected to be online within the next year, and all 4 by the middle of the decade. When this is done, the facility will be one of the largest in the world and will give South Korea complete energy autonomy. Number 2. Wuwei Reactor, China. What we refer to as nuclear power can actually mean one of many different ways of using radioactive material to generate heat. Most facilities around the world use thermal neutron reactors, but researchers are looking at the potential for completely different methods. One that's been believed to be viable for a long time is the idea of what's known as a molten salt reactor. These use a molten salt mixture as both the nuclear reactor coolant and the fuel, and are expected to be much safer than other designs because the fuel is already in a molten state. In the event of a meltdown, this mixture can simply be drained away from the core where it will solidify, and this eliminates the risk of a hydrogen explosion, which is what caused the disaster at Fukushima in 2011. This technology, however, is expensive and unproven, despite 2 small reactors being built in the 50s and 60s. This is all about to change, though, because China has begun to build a new generation of molten salt reactor, which actually uses thorium instead of uranium, and their test device is already operational in Wuwei. Studies are being carried out to understand the potential energy yield and to ensure there are no unexpected side effects in the process. And if all goes well, the first commercial power plant using this method could be operational by 2030. Number 1. ITER, France. Currently, all nuclear energy produced on our planet is nuclear fission, which is the process by which a large atomic nucleus is split into smaller ones, and the energy that's produced as a result is harnessed. There is another way, though, called nuclear fusion, and that's how energy is formed at the core of the sun. It is seen as the holy grail of energy production because of how efficient it is, and the fact it doesn't produce any nasty byproducts, and there's a mega project underway to try to make it a reality. ITER, which stands for the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, is a collaborative project between 13 nations, including the USA, the EU, the UK, Japan, India, Canada, and Thailand, and is currently building an experimental reactor in France. At a cost of up to $65 billion, it's the biggest scientific project since the International Space Station and the Large Hadron Collider, and will attempt to prove that it's possible to trigger nuclear fusion in small bursts. It will be by far the most advanced nuclear facility to have ever been built, and while it won't produce electricity, it's seen as a proof of concept that will lead to the development of the full-scale nuclear fusion plant, currently known as DEMO, and planned to be built in the European Union and operational by the early 2050s. Watch our Machines playlist for more top 15 videos about awesome machines. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best machine videos.